Hey Crestwood, happy Wednesday to you all. Hope you are doing well today. It's August 6th and I am so glad to be with you to bring you this devotional and to spend this time with you. I love knowing that we have this way of connecting each Wednesday, and I hope that these devotionals are a blessing to you. They're certainly a blessing to me to share them with you. Today I want to tell you about something that happened to me about a month ago that I'm still processing. So I went to a new place to get my haircut, thought I'd try a new barber, and so found the place online, made the appointment, went in and sat down, and there was somebody in the chair in front of me. So the guy who was going to cut my hair and one of his colleagues kind of had a conversation going on while I was sitting there. And the guy who was going to cut my hair told a joke that I found offensive, related to, ironically, people in the clergy. It's a joke about Catholic priests. And then he told a joke about women that I found really offensive. And as he told that joke, and as I sat there with it, I thought, I need to do something about this. I need to say something. I need to react. So you know what I did? Nothing. I just sat there. I politely smiled. I let the guy cut my hair. I paid him, tipped him, said goodbye when I left, and then dealt with the guilt of not having said something in the midst of that. As a father of daughters, I was embarrassed. I felt ashamed that I didn't speak up in the face of what was meant as a joke, but what obviously carried with it some deep prejudice, some deep sexism. You figured I'd be bothered by the joke about clergy, even worse. But no, as a father, I was bothered by the other joke. But I didn't do anything about it. And I've really been wrestling with that. I was talking with a friend about it the other day of what kept me from speaking up and saying something in the face of something that went against my faith, that went against who I was as a dad. And I think it was just fear, right? I was afraid to do that. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to stir things up. I didn't want them to see me a certain way, as overly sensitive. Whatever the reason, I just sat there. Now, had I spoken up and done something, would it have made the guy change? Would he have thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't tell these jokes anymore? Would he have apologized? Maybe, maybe not. He could have just gone on telling the jokes. But it would have made me feel different about myself and how I choose to live out my faith each and every day. So the way I rebelled was I just didn't go back there to get my hair cut. Big deal. I'm sure that didn't matter to him at all. I'm constantly replaying that in my mind lately because there are opportunities presented to us every day to stand up for our faith, to stand up for those around us who don't have a voice, to stand up and say, you know what, that's not acceptable. That's not appropriate. Jesus calls us to care for the least of these in our midst, to be a voice for the voiceless, to be the one who uses who we are and what we have at our disposal, our resources, our power, our privilege, to speak up for those who aren't able to do that, who maybe don't have a seat at the table. And I think every day we're given these small opportunities to say, you know what, I'm not going to be complicit in that. I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to say that's okay. I was given an opportunity and I failed. I didn't stand up. I didn't walk out. I didn't say, you know what, that's not appropriate. And so it's made me more mindful of what it is within me that keeps me from doing that. It was very easy for me as a white guy to just sit there and politely smile at these jokes. But what if it had been my daughter that those jokes were being said in front of? What if it was someone else who had been offended by that? My goal each and every day is to live out my faith as authentically as I can. And there are days like that day where I fail miserably. So I appreciate and am so thankful for God's grace and God's forgiveness when I don't do that, and for the opportunity to do it in the future, to have opportunities where I can stand up and say, you know what, that's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. We each have the call to do that. We each have the responsibility to do that. So I want to encourage you to look around today, and are there places in your world, are there places in your lives where you need to stand up and say, you know, that's not right. Even if there's a cost, even if you are looked at differently, even if that brings you some embarrassment, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Jesus doesn't call us to be comfortable. Jesus calls us to be faithful to the gospel, the gospel of welcome, the gospel of grace, the gospel of hospitality and inclusion and equality. How are we living our lives in such a way that promotes that gospel and calls out when that gospel is being violated? Every day we have a chance to do that. I didn't stand up and say something. My prayer is the next time I have that chance, I do, and I pray you do as well. God bless you, Crestwood.